The envelope sat on Alex Harper's kitchen counter for 3 days. Its cream cardstock pristine against the clutter of unwashed dishes and half-read paralegal case files. The calligraphy was too elegant for a bill, too formal for junk mail. He knew what it was, Nathan's wedding invitation, but he hadn't touched it since it arrived, as if ignoring it could erase the obligation. Alex, 32, with a mop of dark hair perpetually overdue for a trim and a wardrobe of faded button-downs, wasn't ready to face his older brother. Not after 5 years of near silence, punctuated only by their mother's occasional texts and that one brutal fight. Disgrace, Nathan had called him, the word sharp as a blade. It was Christmas 2020, the last time they'd been in the same room. Alex had just dropped out of law school, overwhelmed by debt and doubt, and Nathan, already a rising star in Silicon Valley, hadn't held back. "You're throwing away everything Dad wanted for us. You're a disgrace to this family." The memory still burned, a wound Alex probed whenever he felt small, which was often. Now, standing in his cramped San Francisco apartment, Alex stared at the envelope. The wedding was in Napa Valley, a 4-day affair at some fancy vineyard estate. Nathan, 35, tech mogul, perfect son, was marrying Emily Chan, someone Alex had never met but whose name conjured images of polished grace. He didn't want to go. Didn't want to face Nathan's smug success or their mother Lydia's well-meaning pity. But he also couldn't shake the nagging pull of family, the part of him that still remembered Nathan teaching him to ride a bike, laughing when Alex wobbled into a bush. "You gonna open it or just glare it to death?" Mark Torres, Alex's best friend, lounged on the sagging couch, a beer in one hand and his phone in the other. Mark, 34, was a bartender with a knack for cutting through Alex's brooding. His dark eyes glinted with mischief, but his tone carried an edge of concern. "It's just a wedding," Alex muttered, wiping his hands on his jeans. "I don't have to go." Mark snorted. "Right. And let Nathan win the moral high ground forever? Dude, you show up, you look him in the eye, and you prove you're not the loser he thinks you are. Plus free booze. Napa's got good wine." Alex sighed, picking up the envelope. The weight of it felt heavier than paper should. He tore it open, revealing a card embossed with gold vines and the details. "Nathan Harper and Emily Chan request your presence. June 27, 2025. Willow Creek Vineyard." A smaller note fell out in Lydia's familiar handwriting. "Please come, Alex. It's time." "Time for what?" Alex said aloud, tossing the note onto the counter. "Time to be judged again?" Mark swung his legs off the couch, sitting up. "Look, man, I know Nathan's a prick sometimes, but he's your brother. You don't show you're giving him more ammo. Go, eat their overpriced food, dance with some bridesmaids, and leave. Closure, you know?" Alex rubbed his temples. Closure sounded nice, but he doubted it existed. Still, Mark had a point. Skipping the wedding would feel like admitting defeat. "Fine," he said. "But you're coming with me. I need backup." Mark grinned. "Deal. But I'm not wearing a tie." The drive to Napa was a blur of golden hills and vineyard signs, the late June sun relentless through the windshield of Alex's beat-up Honda. Mark fiddled with the radio, settling on a classic rock station that crackled with static. Alex's stomach churned as they neared Willow Creek Vineyard, a sprawling estate with rolling green rows and a white-columned manor that screamed money. Nathan's money, no doubt. They pulled into the gravel lot, already crowded with sleek SUVs and a few Teslas, Nathan's crowd. Alex adjusted his tie, a cheap one he'd bought for a job interview last year, and caught his reflection in the side mirror. Pale tints with faint shadows under his eyes. Not exactly the picture of confidence. "Ready to face the firing squad?" Mark asked, slinging a duffel bag over his shoulder. "Not remotely," Alex said, but he forced himself out of the car. The vineyard buzzed with pre-wedding chaos. Caterers hauling trays, florists arranging roses, and guests milling on a sun-dappled lawn. Alex scanned the crowd for Nathan but spotted Lydia first, her silver hair pinned neatly, her smile strained as she waved him over. "Alex!" She pulled him into a hug, her familiar lavender scent grounding him for a moment. "I'm so glad you're here. Wouldn't miss it," Alex lied, easing out of her embrace. "Where's the groom?" Lydia's smile faltered. "Nathan's busy. You know how he is with work. He'll be at the dinner tonight." Alex nodded, unsurprised. Nathan was always busy, always too important for family. Lydia introduced Mark to a few relatives, who eyed his ripped jeans with polite disapproval. Mark, unfazed, launched into a story about a bar fight he'd broken up last week, earning chuckles from an elderly aunt. The welcome dinner was held in a barn converted into a rustic chic dining hall, all exposed beams and fairy lights. Alex sat at a table with Lydia and a few cousins he barely remembered, picking at a salad while scanning for Nathan. When his brother finally appeared, it was like a spotlight shifted. Nathan, tall and broad-shouldered, wore a tailored blazer that probably cost more than Alex's rent. His dark hair was slicked back, his smile practiced as he greeted guests. Their eyes met across the room. Nathan's smile didn't waver, but his gaze hardened, a silent "What are you doing here?" Alex's chest tightened. He wanted to bolt, but Mark nudged him under the table. "Don't let him get to you," he whispered. Nathan made his way over, shaking hands like a politician. "Alex," he said, his voice cool. "Didn't think you'd show." "Surprise," Alex replied, forcing a grin. "Congrats, by the way." Nathan's jaw ticked. "Thanks. Try not to make a scene, yeah?" The jab landed like a punch. Before Alex could respond, Lydia interjected. "Nathan, please. Let's just enjoy the evening." Nathan shrugged and moved on, leaving Alex simmering. He downed his wine, the bitter taste matching his mood. Mark leaned in. "Told you, prick." After dinner, Alex slipped outside to the vineyard's garden, needing air. The night was warm, the sky a deep indigo dotted with stars. He wandered past rose bushes, replaying Nathan's words, when a woman's voice startled him. "You must be Alex." He turned to see a woman in a navy dress, her dark hair swept into a loose bun. She was striking with warm eyes and a smile that felt genuine. "I'm Emily, Nathan's fiancée. I've been dying to meet you." Alex blinked, caught off guard. Hi. Nice to meet you too." Emily's smile widened. "I mean, it's not every day I get to meet a judge." "Your Honor, it's a pleasure." The words hit like a lightning bolt. "Your Honor?" Alex's mind raced. Then it clicked. Years ago, after dropping out of law school, he'd told Lydia he'd pass the bar and become a judge. A desperate lie to avoid her disappointment. She must have told Emily. Alex stammered, his face heating. He should correct her. He had to correct her. But the way she looked at him, admiration, respect, something he hadn't felt in years, stopped him cold. "It's just Alex," he managed, but Emily waved him off. "Nonsense. Nathan mentioned you're modest, but a judge at your age? That's incredible. Tell me, what's it like presiding over a courtroom?" Alex's throat went dry. He glanced around, half expecting Nathan to appear and call him out. But Emily's enthusiasm was disarming, and the lie felt good. Too good. "It's intense," he said, scrambling. "Lots of responsibility. Upholding justice." Emily nodded eagerly. "I bet. Any big cases you can share?" "Nothing confidential, of course." Alex's paralegal work, mostly filing motions and fetching coffee, flashed through his mind, but he'd read enough case law to fake it. "There was this one case," he began, spinning a tale about a fictional fraud trial, peppering in jargon he'd overheard at the firm. Emily hung on every word, her eyes bright with interest. For the first time in years, Alex felt seen. Not as a failure, not as a disgrace, but as someone who mattered. He knew it was wrong, knew the lie could collapse, but he couldn't stop. Not yet. As they talked, a figure appeared in the garden's shadows, Nathan watching them. His expression was unreadable, but Alex's stomach dropped. Had he overheard? Did he know? "Emily," Nathan called, his voice clipped. "We need you for photos." "Coming." Emily turned to Alex, beaming. "We'll talk more, Your Honor. I want to hear everything." She hurried off, leaving Alex alone with the weight of his lie and Nathan's suspicious stare. The morning sun spilled over Willow Creek Vineyard, painting the grapevines in hues of gold and emerald. Alex Harper stood on the balcony of his guest room, gripping a lukewarm coffee, the bitterness mirroring the knot in his stomach. Last night's encounter with Emily, Nathan's fiancée, replayed in his mind, her warm smile, her earnest "Your Honor," and the lie he'd let fester. He wasn't a judge. He was a paralegal, barely scraping by, yet the respect in her eyes had felt like a drug. And Nathan's suspicious stare as he'd called Emily away? That was a warning shot. Alex rubbed his eyes, the weight of his deception heavier than the Napa heat. He should have corrected her. Should have said, "I'm not a judge, Emily. I'm just Alex." But the words had stuck in his throat, choked by years of feeling less than Nathan, less than the son his late father had hoped he'd be. Now, with the wedding rehearsal looming, he was trapped in a lie that could unravel at any moment. "You look like you're plotting a heist," Mark Torres said, leaning in the doorway, his dark hair mussed from sleep. He wore a faded t-shirt and cargo shorts, a stark contrast to the polished wedding guests milling below. "Or maybe you're just freaking out about playing Judge Judy." Alex snorted, setting his coffee on the railing. Not helping Mark. "Seriously, man, why didn't you shut it down last night? You let Emily think you're some legal hotshot. Nathan's gonna lose it when he finds out." "He won't find out," Alex said, though his voice lacked conviction. "I'll keep it vague. Play the part for the weekend, then disappear back to San Francisco. No harm done." Mark raised an eyebrow. "No harm? Dude, you're lying to your brother's fiancée. That's like soap opera level chaos waiting to happen." Alex ignored him, heading inside to change. The rehearsal day was packed. A vineyard tour, a cocktail hour, and the rehearsal itself. If he could keep up the judge act without Nathan or anyone else digging too deep, he might survive. Might even enjoy it if he could stomach the guilt. The vineyard tour was a parade of wealth and pretense, with guests oohing over rows of Cabernet Sauvignon, while a guide droned about soil peat. Alex trailed the group, half listening, his mind on Emily's questions last night. She'd been so eager, asking about courtroom drama like he was some TV lawyer. He'd spun a story about a fraud case, pulling details from a brief he'd filed at work. It had felt good, too good, to be seen as someone important. "Alex!" Emily's voice cut through his thoughts. She hurried toward him, her sundress fluttering, her smile as bright as the morning. "I was hoping you'd be here. I want to hear more about your work. Nathan's so busy, he barely talks about you, but I can tell he's proud." Alex's stomach twisted. Proud? Nathan had called him a disgrace. Yeah, Nathan's not big on family gossip," he said, forcing a chuckle. "What do you want to know?" "Everything," Emily said, falling into step beside him. "Like, how do you handle the pressure? Deciding people's fates, it must be intense." Alex glanced around, ensuring Nathan wasn't nearby. The group was ahead, Mark flirting with a bridesmaid near a trellis. "It's a lot," he said, hedging. "You weigh evidence, hear arguments. Try to be fair." He leaned on his paralegal experience, recalling motions he'd drafted, but dressed it up with courtroom flair. "Last month I had this case, corporate embezzlement. The defendant thought he'd covered his tracks, but the evidence was airtight. Had to sentence him to 5 years. Emily's eyes widened. "Wow, that's heavy. Do you ever second-guess yourself?" "All the time," Alex admitted, the truth slipping out before he could stop it. "You want to get it right, but people's lives are on the line." She nodded, thoughtful. "I admire that. I'm a graphic designer, but I volunteer with a legal aid group. Justice matters to me. Knowing someone like you is out there upholding it, it's inspiring." The praise hit like a punch. Alex wanted to confess, to tell her he was a fraud, but her sincerity held him captive. "Thanks," he mumbled, looking away. As the tour continued, a woman in a sleek blazer joined them. Rachel, a groomsman and one of Nathan's tech colleagues. Her sharp eyes studied Alex. "So, Judge Harper," she said, her tone curious but edged. "Where do you sit? Superior Court? Federal?" Alex's pulse spiked. "State Court," he said quickly, hoping she wouldn't press. "Small jurisdiction, nothing glamorous." Rachel tilted her head, pulling out her phone. "Interesting. I'll have to look you up. I'm a data nerd, love digging into public records." He forced a smile, his heart hammering. "Not much to find. I keep a low profile." Emily laughed. "He's modest. Come on, Rachel, let him enjoy the tour." Rachel pocketed her phone, but her gaze lingered, a predator sizing up prey. Alex felt the lie tightening like a noose. The cocktail hour was held on a terrace overlooking the vineyard, with waiters circulating trays of Prosecco and canapés. Alex stuck close to Mark, who was already on his second glass, charming a group of Nathan's investors with bar stories. Alex sipped his drink, scanning for Nathan. His brother was across the terrace, deep in conversation with a man in a suit, his expression tense. "Trouble in paradise?" Mark muttered, nodding toward Nathan. "Guy looks like he's negotiating a hostage crisis, not planning a wedding." Alex frowned. Nathan's tech startup, some AI-driven logistics platform, was always in the news for its success. But the man he was talking to, probably a lawyer judging by the briefcase, seemed to be delivering bad news. Alex filed it away, distracted by Emily's approach. "Alex, you have to meet my cousin Lila," she said, pulling a young woman over. "She's studying law at Berkeley. I told her about you." Lila, bright-eyed and eager, launched into questions about judicial ethics. Alex's palms sweated as he deflected with vague platitudes about balancing justice and mercy. He was saved by the call to the rehearsal, but Rachel's voice cut through the crowd. "Judge Harper, quick question," she called, holding up her phone. "Your court's website doesn't list you. Typo, maybe?" The terrace seemed to tilt. Probably," Alex said, his voice tight. "Small courts, bad IT." Rachel's smile didn't reach her eyes. "I'll keep digging." Mark, sensing the panic, steered Alex toward the rehearsal site. "A garden with a rose-covered arch. You're screwed if she finds out," he whispered. "Come clean before this blows up." "I can't," Alex hissed. "Not yet. Emily. She respects me. I haven't felt that in years." Mark shook his head. "You're digging a deeper hole, man." The rehearsal was a chaotic ballet of bridesmaids, groomsmen, and a frazzled wedding planner barking directions. Alex, assigned as a groomsman, stood awkwardly beside Nathan, who barely acknowledged him. Emily, radiant in a white sundress, ran through her cues, her laughter easing the tension. As the group dispersed for a break, Lydia pulled Alex aside. "I'm so glad you're here," she said, her eyes soft but searching. "I know it's hard with Nathan, but he's under a lot of pressure right now." "His company," she trailed off, glancing at Nathan. "What's going on?" Alex asked, catching the worry in her voice. Lydia hesitated. "It's not my place. Just be patient with him." Before Alex could press, the planner called for a speech from someone special. Emily, beaming, pointed to Alex. "Our resident judge. Say a few words, Your Honor." The crowd turned, expectant. Alex froze, his mouth dry. Nathan's eyes narrowed, a storm brewing. Mark mouthed, "Don't do it." But the weight of Emily's trust, the crowd's attention, propelled him forward. He cleared his throat, stepping to the center of the garden. Hi everyone. I'm Alex, Nathan's brother." He paused, the lie burning in his chest. "As a judge, I see a lot of conflict. But today, watching Nathan and Emily, I'm reminded that love, family, is about fairness. About giving each other grace, even when it's hard." He drew on his paralegal work, cases of families torn apart by greed or pride, weaving a speech that felt true, even if his title wasn't. The crowd applauded, Emily's eyes shining. But Nathan's face was stone, his arms crossed. As the group dispersed, Nathan grabbed Alex's arm. "Nice performance," he said, his voice low. "But don't think you can charm your way out of being a screw-up." Alex yanked free, anger flaring. "At least I'm here, Nathan. Unlike you, who's too busy being perfect to care about family." Nathan's jaw clenched, but before he could retort, Emily called him over. Alex watched him go, the rift between them wider than ever. That night, alone in his room, Alex replayed the day. Rachel's questions. Nathan's hostility. Emily's admiration. The lie was a house of cards and he was one wrong move from collapse. But the respect, the belonging, it was intoxicating. He could keep it up just for the weekend. Couldn't he? A knock interrupted his thoughts. Lydia stood at the door, her expression heavy. "Alex, we need to talk. About your father." He frowned. "What about him?" She sighed, sitting on the bed. "There's something I never told you and Nathan. Something that might explain why he's so hard on you." Alex's heart sank. Whatever it was, it would change everything. The Napa Valley sunrise was a traitor, bathing Willow Creek Vineyard in a soft pink glow that promised peace while Alex Harper's world teetered on the edge of collapse. He stood on the guest room balcony, the air thick with the scent of dew-soaked grapes, his mind replaying last night's rehearsal. His speech as the judge had won applause, but Nathan's biting words, "Don't think you can charm your way out of being a screw-up," had cut deeper than Alex cared to admit. Worse, Rachel, the tech-savvy groomsman, was sniffing around, her questions about his non-existent judicial career growing sharper. And then there was Lydia's cryptic mention of their father, a secret she dangled like a storm cloud. Alex gripped the balcony railing, his knuckles white. He'd let Emily, Nathan's fiancée, believe he was a judge, a lie born from a desperate fib to his mother years ago after dropping out of law school. The respect in Emily's eyes had been a lifeline, a shield against Nathan's disdain and his own self-loathing. But Rachel's probing and Nathan's suspicion were closing in. The wedding was tomorrow, and Alex felt like a tightrope walker with a fraying rope. Mark Torres, his best friend and plus one, stumbled onto the balcony, nursing a hangover and a mug of black coffee. "You look like you're about to jump," Mark said, squinting against the sun. His faded t-shirt and messy hair clashed with the vineyard's polished charm. "Rachel's got you spooked, huh?" "She's got a phone and a Wi-Fi connection," Alex muttered. "One Google search and I'm done. No Judge Harper in any court." Mark sipped his coffee, wincing. "Told you to come clean. Emily's cool, she'd get it. Nathan, though? He's gonna crucify you." Alex's stomach churned. Nathan, his older brother, had called him a disgrace 5 years ago, a wound still raw. The idea of confessing to Emily, to Nathan, to everyone felt like peeling off his skin. But keeping up the lie was like juggling fire. "I'll handle it," he said, though he had no idea how. The day before the wedding was a whirlwind of activity. Final fittings, a brunch buffet, and last-minute setup in the vineyard's garden. Alex avoided Rachel, sticking close to Mark, who was charming a group of bridesmaids with bar stories. But Rachel found him at brunch, her sleek blazer and sharp smile as disarming as a blade. "Alex," she said, sliding into a seat beside him with a plate of fruit, "I did some digging. Funny thing, your name doesn't pop up in any California court records." Alex's fork froze halfway to his mouth. "Like I said, small jurisdiction. Bad record keeping." Rachel's eyes narrowed, her phone resting on the table like a loaded gun. "I work in tech. I know how to find data. You sure there's not another Judge Harper?" He forced a laugh, his pulse racing. "You're thorough, I'll give you that. Look, I'm here for my brother's wedding, not a background check." She leaned back, unconvinced but distracted by a call from the wedding planner. Alex exhaled, but the reprieve felt temporary. He needed to talk to Emily, to come clean before Rachel did it for him. He found her in the garden, overseeing the placement of chairs under the rose-covered arch. Her dark hair was pulled back, her expression focused but warm. "Alex," she called, waving him over. "You're a lifesaver. Can you help settle a debate? The planner wants to move the arch, but I think it's perfect here." Alex glanced at the arch, barely registering it. "Looks fine to me," he said, his voice tight. Emily frowned, picking up on his tension. "You okay? You seem off." He opened his mouth to confess, but the words wouldn't come. Her kindness, her belief in him, it was too much to shatter. "Just family stuff," he said instead. "Nathan and I, we don't always see eye to eye." Emily's face softened. "I know he's hard on you. He's stressed. His company's dealing with some legal mess. But he loves you deep down." Alex doubted that, but her empathy disarmed him. "What kind of legal mess?" he asked, seizing the chance to shift focus. She hesitated. "A lawsuit. Something about patent infringement." "He downplays it, but I can tell it's eating at him." Alex filed that away, his paralegal instincts kicking in. Lawsuits like that could tank a startup, even one as successful as Nathan's. Before he could ask more, Nathan appeared, his tailored shirt crisp despite the heat. His eyes locked on Alex, cold and assessing. "Emily, can I borrow you?" Nathan said, his tone clipped. "And Alex, we need to talk. Now." Emily squeezed Alex's arm. "Catch up later, okay, Your Honor?" The title stung, but Alex nodded, following Nathan to a secluded corner of the vineyard. The air smelled of earth and tension. "What the hell are you doing?" Nathan demanded, his voice low but sharp. "Playing judge, charming my fiancée, acting like you're some big shot? I heard you last night spinning stories. Emily thinks you're a goddamn hero." Alex's chest tightened. I didn't. Don't lie, Nathan cut in. Rachel told me she can't find you in any court records. You're faking it, aren't you? Just like you faked giving a damn about this family. The accusation hit like a slap. Alex's anger flared. Years of resentment bubbling up. You're one to talk, he shot back. You called me a disgrace, Nathan. You think you're perfect, but you're too busy building your empire to notice anyone else. You don't even know me. Nathan's jaw clenched. I know you dropped out of law school. I know you let Dad down. And now you're lying to Emily, embarrassing me at my own wedding. Embarrassing you? Alex laughed bitterly. Everything's about you, isn't it? I'm here trying to be part of this family, and all you do is tear me down. Nathan stepped closer, his voice dropping to a hiss. You want to be part of this family? Stop pretending to be something you're not. Tell Emily the truth or I will. Before Alex could respond, Lydia appeared, her silver hair glinting in the sun. Enough, she said, her voice firm but trembling. Both of you stop this. Nathan backed off, but his glare didn't waver. Alex's heart pounded, guilt and fury warring inside him. Lydia took his arm, pulling him toward a bench under an oak tree. Sit, she said. There's something you need to know. Lydia's hands twisted in her lap, her eyes distant. I should have told you and Nathan years ago, she began. About your father. Alex frowned. Their father, a quiet accountant, had died when Alex was 15, leaving a void Nathan had tried to fill with ambition. What about him? Lydia sighed. He wasn't just an accountant. He owned a small firm, but it went bankrupt. He took on risky clients, made bad deals, and lost everything. We hid it from you boys, sold the house, moved to that apartment, said it was for a fresh start. But the shame, it broke him. Nathan saw it, even if you were too young to understand. It's why he pushes so hard, why he's so afraid of failure. Alex's throat tightened. He'd always thought Nathan's drive was arrogance, not fear. Why didn't you tell us? I wanted to protect you, Lydia said, tears in her eyes. But it drove a wedge between you two. Nathan thinks you're throwing away what Dad wanted. A stable, successful life. And you're running from his shadow. The revelation hit like a tidal wave. Alex saw his childhood in a new light. Nathan's late-night studying, his insistence on making it. It wasn't just pride, it was survival. I need to talk to Emily, Alex said, standing. I can't keep lying. Lydia nodded. Be honest, Alex. It's the only way. He found Emily in the manor's library, flipping through a seating chart. Her smile faded when she saw his expression. Alex, what's wrong? He took a deep breath, the words heavy. I'm not a judge. I never was. I dropped out of law school, lied to my mom to save face, and it snowballed. I'm just a paralegal. I'm sorry. Emily's face fell, a mix of hurt and confusion. Why didn't you tell me? I wanted to, he said, his voice breaking. But you looked at me like I was worth something. I haven't felt that in a long time. She set down the chart, her eyes softening. I get it. I grew up with parents who expected perfection. I lied about stupid things, grades, awards, just to feel enough. But Alex, you don't need a title to be impressive. You're here, despite everything, with Nathan. That takes guts. Her empathy stunned him. He'd expected anger, rejection, but not this. You're not mad. I'm disappointed, she admitted. But I like you, Alex. The real you. Just no more lies, okay? He nodded, relief flooding him. No more lies. As evening fell, Alex sat with Mark on the terrace, the vineyard glowing under string lights. Mark, munching on stolen appetizers, grinned. So you survived the confession. Now what? I don't know, Alex said. Nathan still hates me, and Rachel's probably tweeting my obituary. Mark chuckled, then sobered. By the way, I overheard Nathan's lawyer friend. That lawsuit? It's bigger than Emily thinks. Could cost Nathan his company. Alex's paralegal brain kicked in. What kind of lawsuit? Something about stealing code. Sounds messy. Alex glanced at Nathan across the terrace, his brother's face tight as he spoke to another guest. For the first time, Alex saw not just a rival, but a man carrying a weight he hadn't understood. Lydia approached, her expression pleading. Stay for the wedding, Alex. For me. For Nathan. He wanted to run to escape the mess he'd made. But her words and Emily's forgiveness anchored him. "I'll stay," he said. As Lydia hugged him, Nathan's gaze met his across the terrace, cold and unforgiving. Alex knew the worst was yet to come. The morning of Nathan's wedding dawned bright and merciless. The Napa Valley sun glinting off Willow Creek Vineyard's rows of grapes like a spotlight on Alex Harper's unraveling life. He stood in front of the guest room mirror, fumbling with a borrowed tie Mark's, because of course Mark owned a tie but refused to wear it. The navy suit, rented at the last minute, fit well enough, but Alex felt like an imposter in it. Not because of the suit but because of the lie he'd lived all weekend. He was no judge, just a paralegal who'd let Emily, Nathan's fiancée, believe otherwise. Yesterday's confession to her had lifted a weight, but the cost was still settling. Nathan's fury, Rachel's smug vindication, and the raw ache of Lydia's revelation about their father's hidden bankruptcy. Alex adjusted the tie, his fingers clumsy. Nathan's words from their confrontation echoed. "You're faking it, aren't you? Just like you faked giving a damn about this family." The truth had spilled out. Alex's dropout from law school, the lie to their mother about being a judge, but Nathan's anger hadn't softened. If anything, it had hardened, a wall between them thicker than ever. Yet Emily's forgiveness, her quiet, "You don't need a title to be impressive," had given Alex a flicker of hope. He wasn't a disgrace, not entirely. But today, the wedding day, he'd have to face Nathan again, and the whole vineyard full of guests who now knew he was a fraud. Mark barged into the room, a half-eaten croissant in one hand and his phone in the other. "You look like you're going to a funeral, not a wedding," he said, flopping onto the bed. His dark hair was slicked back, but his untucked shirt screamed rebellion against the event's formality. "Ready to play nice with your brother?" Alex snorted. "He'd rather I disappear. You saw him yesterday. He practically growled at me." "Yeah, well, he's got his own problems," Mark said, scrolling his phone. "I was eavesdropping last night. That lawsuit against his company? It's not just some patent thing. Sounds like a competitor's trying to gut his startup. Millions on the line." Alex paused, the tie half nodded. "Millions? Emily said it was bad, but..." Mark shrugged. "Nathan's acting like it's nothing, but his lawyer buddy was sweating bullets. Point is, your brother's not just being a jerk, he's stressed. Maybe cut him a break." Alex wanted to argue, to cling to his resentment, but Lydia's words about their father's bankruptcy lingered. Nathan's drive, his need to succeed, it was rooted in fear, not arrogance. Alex shook his head, focusing on the tie. "Let's just get through today." The vineyard was transformed for the wedding, a vision of white roses, tulle-draped chairs, and a string quartet playing softly under a pergola. Guests in designer suits and flowing dresses milled about, their laughter mingling with the clink of champagne flutes. Alex, as a groomsman, was swept into the pre-ceremony chaos, standing shoulder to shoulder with Nathan in the manor's anteroom. His brother, impeccable in a tailored tuxedo, barely looked at him, his jaw set like he was bracing for a fight. "Stand up straight," Nathan muttered, adjusting his cufflinks. "And don't embarrass me today." Alex bit back a retort, the sting of disgrace echoing from years ago. "I'm here, aren't I?" he said quietly. "That's gotta count for something." Nathan's eyes flicked to him, a flash of something, guilt maybe, before he turned away. "Just do your job." The ceremony began, a blur of vows and tears under the rose arch. Emily was radiant in a lace gown, her smile steady as she locked eyes with Nathan. Alex, standing behind his brother, felt a pang of envy, not for Emily, but for the certainty Nathan seemed to carry, even now. As the officiant spoke of love and commitment, Alex caught Nathan's glance, brief but raw. "I envy you," Nathan said under his breath, so quiet Alex almost missed it. "You don't have to carry all this." Alex froze. Envy? From Nathan, the golden son? Before he could process it, the ceremony moved on, and they were marching back down the aisle, the crowd cheering. The reception was a lavish affair in the vineyard's barn, fairy lights twinkling against wooden beams. Alex stuck to the edges, nursing a glass of wine, avoiding Rachel's knowing smirks. Emily found him during a lull, her veil replaced by a simple headband. "You holding up?" she asked, her eyes warm but searching. "Barely," Alex admitted. "Thanks for, not hating me." She laughed softly. I meant what I said. You're enough, Alex. But you should talk to Nathan. He's not as tough as he seems. Before he could respond, a crisis erupted. The wedding planner rushed over, her face pale. Emily, the venue's double-booked a corporate event for tonight. They're threatening to shut us down unless we sort out the contract. Emily's calm faltered. What? That's impossible. Nathan's dealing with guests. I can't. I can help, Alex said, surprising himself. I'm not a judge, but I know contracts. Let me look. Emily hesitated, then nodded. Okay, thank you. They huddled in a side room, the planner handing Alex a stack of papers. His paralegal training kicked in, eyes scanning clauses for loopholes. Here, he said after 10 minutes. The venue's contract has a priority clause for weddings. They can't kick us out without breaching. Call their bluff, threaten a lawyer. Emily's relief was palpable. Alex, you're a lifesaver. How do you know this stuff? Paralegal life, he said, a small smile breaking through. It's not glamorous, but it's something. She squeezed his arm. It's a lot. For the first time, Alex felt competent without the judge facade. He returned to the reception, head a little higher, only to find chaos brewing. Mark, tipsy on Prosecco, was at the bar, loudly telling a group of guests about Nathan's lawsuit. Yeah, some tech giant suing him for stealing code. Could lose his whole company. The crowd hushed, heads turning. Nathan, nearby, went rigid, his face a mask of fury. He stormed over, grabbing Mark's arm. What the hell are you doing? Mark, oblivious, slurred. Just making conversation, man. Alex stepped in, heart pounding. Nathan, he didn't mean it. Let's take this outside. Nathan rounded on him. You brought this idiot here? You're still screwing things up, Alex. Guests stared, the air thick with tension. Alex, desperate to defuse, drew on his paralegal knowledge. Look, I heard about the lawsuit. Patent cases are tricky, but if it's about code, you've got options. File for a declaratory judgment. Challenge their patent's validity. I can help. Nathan blinked, caught off guard. You? Help? I'm not a judge, Alex said, voice steady. But I know enough. Let me try. Nathan stared, his anger wavering. Why would you? Because you're my brother, Alex said simply. The moment stretched, Nathan's expression unreadable. Before he could respond, Lydia approached, her silver hair catching the light. Boys, she said softly, come with me. In a quiet corner of the barn, Lydia sat them down, her eyes brimming with tears. I've watched you two tear each other apart for years, she said. Your father, he wasn't perfect. When his firm failed, he hid it, but he never stopped believing in you both. Nathan, you carry his dreams like a burden. Alex, you run from them. But you're brothers. You're all you've got. She told a story of their father post-bankruptcy, teaching Nathan to fix a car engine while Alex watched wide-eyed. He said, we rebuild, boys. Piece by piece. He'd want you to rebuild, too. Nathan's shoulders sagged, the fight draining from him. Alex felt the weight of their shared history, the years of misunderstanding. I'm sorry, he said, voice low. For the lie. For shutting you out. Nathan didn't respond, but his nod was enough for now. The reception resumed, music and laughter drowning the earlier tension. Alex danced with Emily, who teased, not bad for a paralegal. He laughed, feeling lighter. Mark, sobering up, apologized profusely, and Alex waved it off. As the night ended, Nathan caught Alex's eye, a silent acknowledgement that felt like a step toward something new. The morning after Nathan and Emily's wedding, Willow Creek Vineyard was quieter, the frenetic energy of the previous day replaced by a soft hum of farewells. The Napa Valley sun rose gently, casting long shadows over the grapevines, their leaves glistening with dew. Alex Harper stood on the manor's terrace, a cup of coffee in hand, the steam curling into the cool air. His navy suit was gone, replaced by jeans and a faded sweater, but the weight of the weekend lingered. He'd come to the wedding expecting judgment, Nathan's cold dismissal, the sting of being called a disgrace, but instead, he'd faced his own lies, confessed to Emily, and glimpsed a path toward reconciliation with his brother. Yesterday's reception had been a turning point. Helping Emily with the venue's contract dispute, using his paralegal skills, had given Alex a spark of confidence he hadn't felt in years. Nathan's quiet thank you for his advice on the lawsuit, though grudging, had cracked the wall between them. And Lydia's story about their father's hidden bankruptcy had reframed their family's past, showing Alex that Nathan's judgment came from fear, not superiority. But as the farewell brunch loomed, Alex wasn't sure where he stood. Would Nathan's thaw hold, or was it just a fleeting moment in the wedding's glow? Mark Torres ambled onto the terrace, his hair a mess, his eyes bleary from last night's Prosecco. "You survived," he said, plucking a croissant from a nearby table. "No fist fights, no disowning. I'd call that a win." Alex managed a half-smile. "Barely. I still feel like I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop." Mark flopped into a chair, crumbs on his shirt. "Dude, you owned up to the judge thing. Emily's cool with you, Nathan didn't deck you, and your mom's practically canonizing you. Take the W." Alex sipped his coffee, the bitterness grounding him. Mark was right. Emily's forgiveness had been a lifeline, and Nathan's nod last night felt like a truce. But years of resentment didn't vanish overnight. "I just want to get through this brunch without another fight," he said. Mark grinned. "No promises. I might spill more secrets if the mimosas hit hard." Alex groaned, remembering Mark's drunken reveal of Nathan's lawsuit at the reception. "You're on a leash today, Torres." The farewell brunch was set up on the vineyard's lawn, white tables draped with linen, a buffet piled with pastries, fruit, and quiche. Guests mingled, some nursing hangovers, others snapping photos of the picturesque setting. Alex spotted Lydia first, her silver hair catching the light as she chatted with Emily's parents. She waved him over, her smile warm but tinged with the weight of last night's conversation. "Alex, you look rested," she said, hugging him. "I'm so proud of you for staying." It meant the world to Nathan and Emily. Alex doubted Nathan shared that sentiment, but he nodded. "Thanks, Mom. For everything." Lydia's eyes softened. "We'll talk more, okay? There's still so much to say." Before he could press, Emily approached, radiant in a simple sundress, her dark hair loose. "Alex, I owe you," she said. "That contract fix yesterday saved the day. You're my hero, judge or not." He flushed and used to praise. "Just doing my job. Well, my actual job." She laughed, then lowered her voice. "Talk to Nathan. He's in the garden. I think he's ready to listen." Alex's stomach nodded. He'd spent years avoiding this moment, but Emily's encouragement and Lydia's plea pushed him forward. He found Nathan near the rose arch from the ceremony, alone, staring at the vines. His brother's tuxedo was gone, replaced by a crisp button-down, but his face was tired, the lawsuit's shadow evident in his tight jaw. "Hey," Alex said, shoving his hands in his pockets. "Can we talk?" Nathan turned, his expression guarded but not hostile. "What's left to say?" Alex took a deep breath, the air thick with the scent of roses. "I'm sorry. For lying about being a judge, for shutting you out after Dad died. I was lost. But I'm not here to embarrass you. I just want to be your brother again." Nathan's eyes flickered, a mix of surprise and something softer. "You think I want that? After all this time?" "I don't know," Alex admitted. "But last night you said you envied me. Why?" Nathan looked away, his voice low. "You walked away. From law school, from all the pressure Dad put on us. I couldn't do that. I had to be the one who made it, who kept Mom afloat after he died. You got to be free, Alex. I resented you for it." The confession hit like a wave. Alex had spent years seeing Nathan as the golden son, untouchable, but now he saw the weight his brother carried. "I wasn't free," he said. "I was running. From Dad's expectations from you. When you called me a disgrace, it broke me." Nathan winced. "I shouldn't have said that. I was angry at Dad, at myself. I saw you giving up and it felt like you were throwing away everything I was fighting for." Alex nodded, the pieces falling into place. "We were both fighting ghosts, weren't we?" Nathan's laugh was short, bitter. "Yeah. Dad's ghost most of all." They stood in silence, the vineyard's quiet beauty a stark contrast to the rawness between them. "I meant what I said about the lawsuit," Alex added. "I can help. I know a guy at my firm, a patent lawyer. He owes me a favor." Nathan studied him, then nodded. "Okay. I'd appreciate that." It wasn't a hug, wasn't a full reconciliation, but it was a start. Alex felt a knot loosen in his chest, a weight he'd carried for years. Back at the brunch, Emily pulled Alex aside, her smile bright. "I saw you two talking. Looked intense." "Yeah," Alex said, exhaling. We're not fixed, but we're better. Good, she said. And for what it's worth, I'm glad you're you. Not some judge, just Alex. That's enough. Her words settled over him like a warm blanket. Thanks, Emily. For giving me a chance. She grinned. Keep in touch, okay? I could use a paralegal friend. As she walked away, Rachel, the tech-savvy groomsman who'd nearly exposed him, approached, her expression sheepish. Hey, Alex. I owe you an apology. I was overzealous digging into your story. I just wanted to protect Nathan and Emily. Alex shrugged, surprisingly unbothered. You were doing your job. No hard feelings. Rachel smiled, relieved. You're all right, Harper. Not a judge, but all right. Lydia found him next, her eyes misty. I watched you and Nathan, she said. I haven't seen you talk like that since you were boys. Alex swallowed hard. You were right. About Dad, about us. I'm sorry I made it harder. She took his hand. You're both my boys. Nathan's driven, you're stubborn, but you're both good. Your father would be proud, not because of titles or money, but because you're trying. Her words cracked something open in Alex, a grief he'd buried since his father's death. I miss him, he admitted, voice thick. So do I, Lydia said, squeezing his hand. But he's here in you and Nathan. As the brunch wound down, Mark cornered Alex, his hangover mostly gone. So what's next? Back to filing papers, or you gonna chase something bigger? Alex thought of law school, the dream he'd abandoned. Maybe I'll try again. On my terms this time, not Dad's or Nathan's. Mark clapped his shoulder. That's my boy. Now let's steal some of those pastries for the road. Alex laughed, the sound freer than it had been in years. As he packed his bag, he caught sight of Nathan and Emily saying goodbye to guests. Nathan met his gaze, offering a small nod, a promise to keep talking, to rebuild. Driving away from the vineyard, the golden hills stretching before him, Alex felt different. Not a judge, not a disgrace, just Alex enough, for the first time, to face whatever came next.